Today, we're recapping everything that happened in 2024. We're talking about the most shocking moments, wildest conspiracy theories, and of course, the best and worst games of the year. But which games shocked us the most? Stick around to find out. Welcome, friends, to this week's episode of Good Playing With You, the weekly gaming podcast. I'm Dan Whitehill, and as always, I'm joined by my holiday horde of Matts, Matt Lord.
Hey, how's it going?
And Matt Molding.
Hey now.
We've got a lot of great stories and topics to jump into, but first, let's talk about our categories for Good Playing With You's first award show. Molding, why don't you kick us off?
Yes, welcome to the first annual Good Playing With You award show. The invitation was tuxedo or black tie optional, so I see that we all took the option, which is very encouraging. Yes, so we're going to have a little awards show for us. We've chosen some nominations for some various categories. These are not the normal categories you'd see on the typical award show. These are special Good Playing With You tech categories for us, and we're going to do a little discussion about what we think, and then we'll have a vote to see a live vote and eviction to see who wins each category. So why don't we get started here?
Woo!
So our first category, applause. Our first category is the best game to force your friends to try award. So these are games that came out this year that we all thought, hey, this would be a good game to force our friends to try. So Dan, what did you think?
Oh, well, I have the winner. I mean, I'm not even going to nominate. I'm just telling you guys, this needs to be the winner. And it is Super Mario Party Jamboree. Now, don't let the weak name fool you. This game was an outstanding party. It was a return to form and one of the best for the series. Hence the reason I made both of you jabronis join me on opening weekend and for us to do a live stream. So if you haven't seen it, definitely check it out. And I'm telling you, whether you knew it or not, you had a great time. My vote, Super Mario Party Jamboree.
Pretty good.
Right, Matt Lord, what's your nomination?
Man, my nomination had to be Helldivers 2. Because I feel like that game came out, it was a whirlwind. Everyone was talking about it. You could party up with your friends easy enough. And you could jump in and kill some bugs. Just a game that it was so easy to sell a friend on. You say, it's only $40. You can get on there. We can cross-platform. No problem. Very easy. It was a game that I felt like it was so easy to get your friends on board. And to be honest, it's not my favorite game at this moment now, but at the time, totally easy to get your friends involved with. So I couldn't resist making that my pick.
Those are both excellent nominations. My nomination is a late addition to this year, and that is Marvel Rivals. I've been having a lot of fun playing that game this year. I've at least forced one friend to try it, so I've been somewhat successful in it. It's taken a lot of people away from Overwatch 2. I have not picked up Overwatch 2 since Marvel Rivals came out. It's very fun.
Strong. That's a strong endorsement there for Molding.
It is. And that was my top game of 2024. It's just been a really fun ride. It suffers from a lot of the same problems that Overwatch 2 does. Mainly, let's say, for example, my last game that I played, we had 5 people chose DPS. No one chose a healer. No one chose a tank. We promptly lost, of course, because you need a balanced team. So it suffers from a lot of the same problems that Overwatch 2 does. But man, that Marvel licensing is just so good. Like, it's really fun to play as your favorite character. So that is my nomination for best game to get your friends to try. So what we're going to do is you guys are going to vote, and then I will announce the winner here live on the pod. So enter your vote now. I wish I had some little music.
Yeah, we'll be back in 2 and 2.
So very interesting. So it looks like I am going to be the tie break. We have both of you guys switched your vote to the other person.
I really liked Helldivers.
No one chose Marvel Rivals, which I'm a little disappointed at. But I'll have to go that it has to be Mario Party Jamboree.
Yeah,
it is the game that you forced us to both play.
That's exactly right.
It
just
really succeeded in forcing your friends to play it.
yes, very
The
real
winner,
world for us.
yes. So the
Awesome.
winner
Congratulations to
this
Mario.
year, congratulations, Mario Party Jamboree. All right, the second category is the best glitchy / broken game. So a lot of games, well, we're pretty used to at this point. Games come out not really fresh, not really ready to meet the mainstream, but we had a couple good contenders this year. So Dan, what is your best glitchy game of 2024?
Good question. You know what? This year it was kind of a surprise because I expected a big turd like we were given Cyberpunk to like stink it up in a single player game. But for the most part, like you were saying, there wasn't like a standout really bad game. And in fact, more surprisingly than that was the glitches I faced more often than not this year were in online live service games. In fact, I had my progress wiped on Fortnite not too long ago, but they did a rollback on the servers, and so they put it back before a lot of people noticed. But of course, I noticed because I'm, an idiot. But
Because you're a 14-year-old boy that plays Fortnite
yeah,
all the time. Yeah,
I'm a 14-year-old boy that plays all the time, but I got a dub right at midnight on Christmas. How
Oh.
cool is that? Like, I mean, if you're gonna get a dub on Fortnite, that's when you want it, and that made my Christmas. I'm telling you, I kicked off the Christmas season right.
Nice.
Anyway,
Christmas came early.
yes. Long story
Right
short,
on time.
Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Who doggy? Look, these survival horror games, I love them, but I know not a lot of people do. And the problem is, so do the developers because they probably don't make a lot of money on them and they can't support them, so they're glitchy AF. Texas, it was no surprise, it had some huge glitches this year, missing sound, like missing characters, missing marks, missing parts of the map. And the worst offense of all for a live service game, I can't find a match in under about 6 to 7 minutes right now.
Oof.
It's in a terrible place, but of course I'm still playing it. And that's why my vote is for Texas Chainsaw Massacre this year.
That is a good nomination. Matt Lord, what do you think?
Well, this one I feel like is going out to Star Wars Outlaws just from all the craziness that we've seen from its kind of wonky stealth mechanics, which they did fix, to the janky kind of PS2-ish graphics that we'll kind of see every so often. But I do got to say there has been a lot of good, like, fun content to watch from that game. And really, I don't know if I've seen I feel like that one kind of takes the cake for me. So that was just at the top of my list. I had to throw it in there. And so Star Wars Outlaws for me.
Very
It's
nice.
a good one.
Mine is right at the beginning of the year. We got a big one with Palworld, which all three of us enjoyed. We spent some
Solid.
time in Palworld, but man, the glitches in that game almost took me out of it. Your pals would get stuck in rocks. Things wouldn't spawn correctly. They wouldn't. The pathing wasn't great at all. They'd run into trees and they'd get stopped. But man, I really loved this game when it came out, and a new update just came out for it this week with a brand new land to explore. And I'm kind of interested in trying in going back and seeing what they changed. Of course, we all know about the lawsuits from Nintendo with the Pokemon lawsuits. So we all know that had an effect. I think when you play it now, you don't even throw the Pokeball. I mean, we even call it Pokeball, so of course there was something wrong with it. I don't even know how they throw it out now, but I am interested in trying it out. And I see you guys have already put your votes in, and you put your votes in for the correct winner. The winner is Palworld for the best glitchy game of 2024.
Yeah.
I think I have to agree. I mean, it is my nomination, so of course I agree. But yes, I definitely agree with that one. So
yeah,
very
Palworld was
nice.
just like, wow, it was something else. And seeing it go down on the Series S too was just like the added layer of jankiness and graphical insanity. So that's a no-brainer. Good pick, Malding.
Would either of you go back to it with a new island?
Yeah.
Yeah. I would play with you
I'm
guys
going
for
to
sure.
too. Yeah.
Yeah.
That would be what, your 6th or 7th restart, Lord? On
many restarts. So I would just come over to you guys' island and just let you carry me.
Okay, perfect. That sounds good. All right. Congratulations to Palworld for the best glitchy game. All right. The next award is for the most overhyped game award. And boy, do I have a good one for this. What do you think, Dan, for your most overhyped game of 2024?
Gonna be honest with you, there are a lot of contentious and good nominations on here, but the real winner in my mind is Hellblade 2, and Senua's Saga or whatever it was. It was Look, I had to play this whole thing so I could review it for the podcast, and I spent about 25 hours straight playing this thing, and it was so overhyped. Look, it's not a bad game by any stretch of the imagination, and if you have time, maybe check it out. But my problem here is it really is so linear, it's so similar to the first game, and it really begs the question of like, what were they trying to do here? What are they trying to accomplish? Why did this piece of artwork exist? I know a lot of the reporters and a lot of the people on the blogs are like, oh my gosh, it's so great. You know what? It wasn't that great. And it's definitely okay if you skip this one. In fact, if you forgot it came out this year, no problem there. Good for you, because I had to sit through and play through this turkey, and it's definitely way undercooked.
Well said. Why? Like, why did that game exist is the question. I don't know. Like, the following up the first one, it had no legs. That's the only way you can put it.
Agreed.
My pick.
I like playing a movie, but it didn't look like it was a fun movie to play at all. So
Nope.
I can't vouch for it one way or the other because I didn't try it, but it did not look good.
I mean, if you like whispering in your ear over and over again, then you might like it.
Then listen to this podcast. We'll scratch that itch for you.
Exactly.
Matt Lord, what's your nomination?
My nomination, sorry, Malding, but this one to me, Marvel Rivals.
Oh,
shots fired! I was waiting for this. Shots fired!
Could not
the show
resist
gets good
because I've played Malding. I've been playing some. And I'm just not feeling it right now. I think they need to do some. They need to do it. I agree. What you said about the they need to do a class lock. They need to give it the Overwatch treatment with the classes. Like, they have to, because getting the ability to pick all the different roles. I don't know. I'm not like admittedly, I'm not like a humongous Marvel fan either. And so when I come into this game, I'm just like, I'm at a little bit of a loss. I'm just like, yeah, this is what Overwatch has already mastered over so many years. So I couldn't help it. I had to put this on here because I think people are losing their mind that there's an actual Overwatch competitor out there. But I don't know. This one's getting a little bit too much hype for me.
I mean, I do understand your thoughts. I disagree with all of them. I think you should just get good, is what I think should happen. But my nomination for this year, if you listen to the podcast, our last podcast, I railed against this game, and I will continue to rail against it. Most overhyped game is by far the Indiana Jones and the Secret Circle. It is just really, really, people loved it. If you were in games media, you saw a lot online about how it was the best game of the year. It was the most inventive. It would have been the best game if it would have come out in time. It was just not. I'm sorry, it just wasn't a good game. Ryan McCafferty at IGN wrote on Twitter today that he had just finished it. He spent like 25 hours and he's like, oh my God, this game is the most amazing game I've ever played. I'm paraphrasing. And I just can't disagree with that more. So here we go.
Before you go any further,
yes,
I would
please
feel like
convince me.
I would feel like a traitor if I didn't call out. I've been playing Indiana Jones like crazy over the Christmas break, and I started to really enjoy it. The secret is you really have to get out of the first area. And yes, it's slow. And yes, it's mainly stealth, although I'm at the point where I'm super powerful and I'm OP and I can do anything. And it's got so many different areas. Look, is this my favorite type of game? No. But is there something there? Yes. It does not deserve all the backlash that we gave it on the last episode, and I have been feeling a little bit of guilty about it, and so I gotta speak my truth here. I think you might have judged it a little early, brother, and I don't think this deserves the most overhyped game of the year because there's quality there.
Interesting. I mean, I will say I really love games that only get good after the first 10, 15 hours. Those are my favorite type of games that really are bad in the first 15, but then
It
get
is bad in
good
the
after
first.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I mean,
So I'm
Dan,
sticking
I
with
gotta
Hellblade.
disagree with you.
Stick with
I
Hellblade.
liked the first part of Indiana Jones, and then I liked the Vatican. Got to Giza,
Yeah,
and
Giza.
I was like, this thing's falling apart. I'm like,
What? That's where it gets good.
I was like, I immediately was just like, I'm bored. We're done. I actually, that is that. I was like, oh, this is just not like doing it for me. I thought the Vatican was actually cool, and then, no, it fell apart. So, Malding, do you want to?
Yeah, so the votes, I'm sorry, neither of you convinced me your games are the ones, and both of you, Dan voted for Hellblade, Matt voted for Indiana Jones, so I'm sorry, internet, Indiana Jones is the most overhyped game of 2024.
I agree.
Congrats to Indian team.
Yeah. Congrats.
Yes. I mean, listen, I know a lot of people put their heart and soul into this game, and a lot of people love it.
It's fine.
We are an outlier. We are not the mainstream opinion of this game, but I did play it, and it is not good.
Yeah,
unfortunately.
No, it's definitely worthy of this nomination.
Okay. So the next game, which might be a sweep. We might not even need to no, this is a game most likely to be remade or remastered, and we're calling it the Naughty Dog Award, since Naughty Dog loves to remake and remaster their games. They just love squeezing the blood from a stone like they do. They are an incredible developer, but this is an award in their honor. We're going to go to Matt Lord first. Matt Lord, what is your nomination for the game most likely to be remade?
I can't help it, and I'm gonna say Concord. I think there's still. I think that game is gonna come back. I haven't. It's gonna come back under the Sony umbrella. Like they're not gonna be able to help themselves. They're gonna say we can somehow salvage this game. That may be why they completely scrapped it, because I thought they were gonna bring it back as free to play, but I think they're gonna actually bring it back. Completely overhauled. It's going to be free to play, maybe better game modes, something to really bring the players back. I think it's going to be I think we're going to see a big remake of that game. I mean, do I want to see it remade? Not particularly, but I feel like there is a future for that game. So it's the most likely.
Crazy.
Dan, what do you think?
My thing is, look, who's really cashing in here? And it's not so much Naughty Dog as it is Sony. They made some fantastic single-player narrative-driven experiences that put them as the leader on the map in terms of games and such high water benchmarks. And then that was PlayStation 3 and 4, and now we see them going back and dipping in the well, and they've redone absolutely everything you can imagine. So I know they just redid Horizon, right? So, and they did Naughty Dog 1, they did Naughty Dog 2. So what's going to stop them, gentlemen, from doing Horizon 2? And I know that game just came out 1-2 years ago, but it doesn't matter to hungry Sony. They're going to want to put in some pro features or something like that. And that's why we're going to see a bullshit remake of Horizon 2.
Oh,
very interesting, because my nomination was also Concord. I also think that Sony is going to take Concord, but hear me out on this, because Overwatch 2 was or Overwatch 1 was pieces of a different game before it became Overwatch, and I think that is kind of what they're going to do with Concord as well.
Crazy.
There's just too much money invested in this thing for them to just let it loose, for them just to not do anything with it. There's too much world building. They even had that Amazon show had a half-hour cartoon about it. And how could they have a show about this video game when this video game doesn't even exist anymore? So that was my nomination. Now I see that the votes are in, and I do have to say, even with all that I just said, Dan also convinced me that Horizon is the game that is going to. Now this is Horizon Zero Dawn 2. you're
Yeah.
talking about, right?
Yeah.
Not
Forbidden
the first
West,
one,
right?
Forbidden
Yeah.
West.
West, yes.
Yes, you convinced me and Matt Lord that is the game most likely to be remade. So congratulations, Horizon, on
Wow.
the first annual Naughty Dog Award.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to seeing what games will be remade next year.
Yeah.
So we have our next nomination, or our next category, is the Controller Chucker Award. Games that really piss us off the most this year. And I see the nominations already, and I'm ready to have a fight with one Mr. Daniel Whitehill on this.
Ditto, buddy.
So I'll start with Matt Lord. Matt Lord, what was your nomination for the Controller Chucker Award, game that most pissed you off this year?
I can't help but throw it back to Helldivers, because that game ended up pissing me off, and that game does not get enough flack for how much you just run from enemies in that game. I don't think they'll ever be able to fully balance that, and that made me want to just like chuck. It was just like such a frustrating experience, and you weren't necessarily dying or anything, but man, you just couldn't help but be like, this is so like monotonous. Got to get out of this somehow. I'll just throw my controller. And then if you do wind up getting into a serious firefight and you're on the higher rankings, man, you just can't really. I feel like you're so often too underpowered. I know they're trying to go for a very underpowered situation, but it is so frustrating when you're just dying over and over, telling your teammates to spawn you back. It's just, it can get super frustrating. That one was the controller chucker for this year for me.
And it really looked like it was a time sink too. Like, to get anywhere in that game, you had to invest a lot of time.
Yeah, you could have like a 45-minute mission and you can literally get wiped. Yeah, 2 minutes left in a 45-minute mission. So you could be like really on the cusp. And that is just like, yeah, there was some things in that game that are just like, wow, that was so frustrating. So yeah, that took it for me.
Good choice. Dan, what is your choice for the Controller Chucker Award, most frustrating game?
All right, I gotta call it like I see it, and I'm sorry, Molding. Not really. I am nominating Ark Survival Ascended, or whatever it was that you guys made me play. And I love that you love this game so much, and I love that you have your own server, and because you guys do it right. So I was like, if I'm ever going to jump in, I'm going to trust my buddies, and this is when I'm going to jump in. And I love a good crafting survival game, but this is not one of them. Let me just tell you, when I tried to spend time in this game with my friends, I went and tried to make a settlement on the beach and was like murdered 67 times. And then I had to spawn at my friend's house and go back to the beach, which, mind you, my friends told me to like live on this beach. So I have to go back and I die, and I go back and I die. And I just don't have the elements or the resources to make a bed. And so then I have to get in Molding to come in there and finally makes me a bed. So he makes me a bed. So I'm like, okay, great. Now if I die because I'm this little peon, I'm going to spawn in my house on the beach. And then this mother effing bird, I don't know who designed it or what the hell, flies into my house.
Ichthyornis. If anyone plays Ark, it's the Ichthyornis.
It's the Ornis.
It's a Dichthyornis. Let me just tell you about that, because it flies into my house, starts busting up everything I had been working on for the last couple of hours, and it takes forever to kill. And then I had to call Malding back, and he kills it with his dinosaur in like one chomp or whatever. I freeze to death even though I'm standing next to a fire pit, and died there. And then it just kept happening. I was like banging my head against a wall repeatedly while my friends sat back and enjoyed it and watched. And so for that reason, I'm saying Ark Survival Ascended is the biggest controller chucker for me of 2024.
Very interesting. And again, you just need to be good at the game, and then you'll be okay at it. It'll be fine. So my nomination is one of Dan's favorite games that we played at the beginning of the year, and that is Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Now, this game is so frustrating because if you didn't get in on this game when it literally like the first week that it came out, and you did not know have memorized all the paths that everyone takes, you had no chance to win as either a survivor or either a survivor or the killer. You just had no chance playing against people who knew this game and had been playing it 24 hours a day for a full week. They just knew everything. They had traps set everywhere that you would want to go. They knew where the exits are. I mean, Dan, you have to say that when you would play against killers that didn't know the game, you could exit, that you could win in 2 minutes because you knew exactly where to go and how to get out. And it was just so much not fun. Now, granted, it was kind of fun playing with you guys, but that did not override the poo that was this game. So everyone, you can put in your nominations now, and we can decide what is the biggest controller thrower game, the most frustrating game of 2024. Oh. All right. I'm going to have to say, because I got to put my vote in there. Oh no. What am I going to do? I might go with Dan on this actually and give Ark, because if you don't know, I make the jokes. If you don't know how to play this game, it gives you no instruction at all on how to do anything. And if you're playing it on console, like we were playing, the controller, it is not made to play on a console. It is made to play on a PC with mouse, with a keyboard and mouse. So if you're playing on a controller, it can be really frustrating if you don't know the game well enough right off the bat. And I will say, Dan, we had the server controls so tuned to make it easy for everything. You got more resources, you got more XP than what the live servers do, the official servers. It would take you probably 3 or 4 times as long to do the things that you'd want to do on an official server as you did on our server. So the winner for the most frustrating game, I do have to agree with Dan, this year is Ark 2 Survival, or Ark Survival Ascent.
For the Ornis.
Yeah, I love
for
that.
the Ornis.
What's funny is for the listeners, like behind the scenes, I voted for Texas Chainsaw because just for the solid fact that that wait time, that's a controller chucker for me right there. That wait time to find a match is just inappropriate.
And I
obscene.
didn't even play that game long enough to experience long wait times because I quit playing that game around March or so of this year.
So that was fun.
Thank you. Thank you for your votes, gentlemen. All right. We have one more official game, or one more official category. The biggest, surprisingly good game that wasn't on my radar award. So I'd love to hear what your games are that may not have been on our radar or our listeners' radar. So Matt Lord, we'll go with you. What was your most surprisingly good game of the year?
It has to go to Stalker 2. It dropped. I mean, admittedly, it was sort of on my radar, but I didn't have faith that it was going to be good. And wow, this game has exceeded all of my expectations. Totally great. It's a fantastic first-person shooter. There's really no excuse not to play it if you love a good post-apocalyptic mutants running around, bandits running around, very there's the environments seem very alive with NPCs, and you can talk to everybody, trade with everybody. It's such a fun time, and every time I pick up and play the game, I'm just like, I don't want to stop playing. This is so much fun. Great mysteries. I just think, wow, I cannot believe they actually pulled off Stalker 2 and stayed very faithful to the original Stalkers, which I'm also a huge fan of. So just a really, really big surprise. And if you have Game Pass, go ahead and pick this one up as soon as you can.
So, Matt Lord, you got a little pushback online a few weeks ago for saying that it was like Fallout.
Yes.
Do you still stand by that it's like Fallout?
Good question.
I don't see why that's an unfair comparison, because I think it does have some Fallout vibes here and there. I mean, it definitely doesn't play exactly like a Fallout, but it's definitely at the post-apocalyptic setting.
So the world essentially similar.
The world
Yeah,
is very
got it.
similar to the Fallout vibes. Yes. So I know I definitely
Doesn't
did
look
catch
like it
fun.
has that Fallout humor, though. I'll say
No,
No,
very
yeah.
serious game, which I love as well. But it kind of has some silliness too. But like it is a serious game, which I just love that. I love the serious, just like down to business, like go kill these guys over there, go rescue these people. Like just great game. Really big surprise.
Nice, good one. Dan, what about you? What's your nomination for the best surprisingly good game that wasn't on your radar this year?
All right, so yes, this was an independent game that I never even had heard of right before it even launched. But I saw the trailer and I was like, "Huh, now this could be a game for Dan Frex." First, let me explain here. I am passionate about zombies. Zombie genocide is something that is near and dear to my heart, and it's something I try and practice on a daily basis. And along comes this game called Welcome to Paradise, where you are like it's kind of post-apocalyptic too, with the zombies running around, but they've got this technology where you can put headsets on zombies, and when you do that, that makes them not want to kill you, and then you can make them fight for you, and then you get another headset and you can make them do something, and then you get different vests and different weapons, and suddenly you have a zombie army. And I'm like, that's awesome. Not only that, you can ride on the back of these zombies, and they're like horses and jockeys, and you ride them into battle with your little zombie army, and you just take on dudes, and it's just really cool. It's like, how come nobody appreciates this game like me? I don't know. It hasn't hit Game Pass yet, so maybe it will someday. Maybe it'll find an audience. But my thing is, they obviously clearly put a lot of love and like money and time into this game, and I don't know anyone who bought it besides myself. It is also co-op, which is super fun. So that's why I say my surprise hit for 2024 was Welcome to Paradise, and definitely check it out when you get a chance.
That is a good choice. Listening to your explanation of Welcome to Paradise, if you were to put in dinosaur wherever you said zombie, you're talking about Ark, by the way. I just want to put that in there for you.
Okay. Context.
So my nomination for the best surprise game, literally, I got surprised by a week ago, and that is this little independent game called Wild Frost. So I didn't do any. Unfortunately, I did do any research to see if maybe this game didn't come out this year, and maybe it was just put on Game Pass this year. But if you liked Slay the Spire, this is a great follow-up to that game. It is the same sort of thing. It's a roguelite game, card deck builder, and your first run is going to be terrible. You are not going to win. You're going to die right off. But on subsequent runs, you get a little bit more powerful, better cards, better things to attach to your cards, so on and so forth. And by the end, you're just really, really addicted to this game. And it came out of nowhere. I just randomly saw this cute little image on Game Pass and thought, hey, I'll try that game. And I've been playing it every day for the last week. So I'll say that is my surprise game of 2024. So gentlemen, put your nomination, your votes in, and all of us voted for our game. And I think that's a great thing. These are three great surprise games. They are all winners. You should really try them out. Two of them on Game Pass. One of them Dan forced me to buy. I did play the Welcome to Paradise, and it is fun. I do see why Dan enjoys it. These are all very good, excellent choices. So congratulations to all three of our winners.
I will say we played a little bit of Welcome to Paradise, and it was a fun time. I will say. Why? I'm surprised,
Dan forced you to buy it too. Dan owes us like at least $45.
Yeah,
for what we had to purchase.
I played some, and it was good. You're right. Totally. Like when it comes to like a surprise game, absolutely. And it had like that Pikmin flavor a little bit, where you're just kind of like getting your little horde going.
Oh
I'm
yeah,
totally
that's
into
a good comparison. So for sure.
Yes, you're right. Totally a unique experience, a surprise for sure.
I love this. This category is the last one, and we had our very first three-way tie, and it's very appropriate because both the games you guys talked about were great as well. So it's really fun.
Yeah.
That concludes the official award ceremony for the Good Playing With You 2024 Game Awards. We are going to be continuing. I think we have some more topics that we're going to continue to talk about some of our games this year, but that was the official ceremony. So thank you everyone for joining.
Oh, yeah.
Yes,
We look
great
forward to
job.
seeing what happens in 2025.
Yeah. Great job on that molding, and thank you for your participation, Lord. But the show's not over yet. We've got some more topics as we continue to look back at 2024, the year that was pretty interesting for gaming. I think one of the more fun topics when we look back in the year are all of the crazy conspiracy theories. We've got a very passionate video game brethren out there that loves to just kind of come up with theories and conjecture and all that sort of stuff. And for the most part, we try and distill that to you guys, and we don't bring it up on the show unless we actually believe that it's true, or we think it's funny, or we want to comment on it. So we haven't brought up all of the wild theories, but we have brought up a few of them. And I just want to take a look back at the craziness that was 2024 and talk about some of these wild conspiracy theories. First up, Lord, do you want to talk about yours?
Oh yeah, I couldn't wait, since we've already talked a little bit about Indiana Jones. I was so certain we were not going to be playing as Indiana Jones for honestly maybe more than half of the game. I was like the half for sure, maybe even 3/4. The way they were kind of setting it up, I couldn't help it. I was like, we're going to be playing as the sidekick. We're about to get the Last of Us 2 switcheroo, where you think you're playing as Ellie and you're actually playing as Abby. And I was like, that is going to happen in this game. And it didn't, which was definitely made me like,
Points for actually starting off this question with your own conspiracy theory that you created. What caused you to think that? Because you would bring it up and we'd be like, you're crazy.
Oh yeah, no, this is literally one that I had cooked up, which is just like it's so much better. Well, the trailers, for some reason, the way they were showing the sidekick, I was like, there's something about the way they're like portraying her. We're definitely going to be playing at least more large segments with her, and then I'm like, maybe it won't even be just little segments. It's going to be you're going to have your own unfolding story. And I was just like
Mary Jane in the Spider-Man games,
right?
Where you have your own.
That is exactly it. And so I figured it was going to be along those lines, and apparently it's not. Dan, you have many hours. You haven't come across any of that.
Safe to say, we're all indie all the time around.
Okay. Yeah. So
call me Lord Anon, because you got me with this conspiracy theory.
No.
Because you totally convinced me that was going to be the case, and I was with you from the very beginning.
Lord Anon, that is so.
All right, Molding,
Yes.
what was your favorite conspiracy
So
theory?
mine's not really a fun one, but there is a conspiracy theory this year that Sweet Baby, it was called Sweet Baby, Sweet Baby Inc. Was a is a company that is involved in many other video games, making them more woke, quote unquote. And that was a big conspiracy that went on this year. People were calling it like Gamergate 2.0. That it got a lot of hate online. It got a lot of death threats for the people that work there, that they were injecting a woke agenda into video games. Like maybe they were suggesting that you replace a male character with a female character, or a white guy with a black girl, or there was a lot of these theories that this was happening online. And I really felt bad for the people working there, because I think what this company is they're just a company that game publishers go to, and it's like, hey, this is how we've normally run our games and write our games. What's a way to make it just a little bit more inclusive? And I think they would give ideas, but they weren't responsible at the very end for any of the final decisions. And that's what the internet thought this year, was that this company was running some sort of secret agenda to take white guys out of video games. And it was really unfortunate. I feel bad for everyone that was involved.
That wasn't
not fun. Yeah.
They didn't
Huh.
work on Veilguard, did they?
I don't know.
But all right, to lighten things up a little bit, thanks, Malding. Although that was
I
actually
told you
interesting.
mine wasn't a good one.
No, I
No,
know,
that
but it
was
was
a good
interesting
one.
because I didn't really register on my brain, so that was a good one. Mine though is, and I'm surprised, Malding, you didn't pick this one because you even reported it on it. My favorite conspiracy theories, like probably ever, is got to be these GTA trailer prediction theories. Now, I did a little research here just so I could recap the crazy that was 2024 when it came to GTA trailers. Now, let's be honest here, and we're going to talk about this a little bit later. It is shocking that we did not get a trailer in 2024, at least so far. Let me tell you about some of my research here. Okay, first, there was the moon phase theory that Molding just reported on a couple of weeks ago, with some fans observing that Rockstar Games had previously used significant content during the waning gibbous moon phase. And this pattern led to predictions that the second trailer would drop during a similar lunar phase, notably on November 22nd of 2024. However, of course, as we all know, the date passed and nothing happened. Then there was the anniversary theory, and that was that the GTA 6 trailer was going to be released on December 1st, 2023. The first trailer was on December 1st. So therefore, obviously, the second trailer should be December 1st, 2024. And we know that one didn't happen. Then the next theory was investor call insights. Take-Two, the parent company, loves to pump up their business and talk about how great it is and get investors excited. And some fans speculated that a new trailer might coincide with these financial updates to boost investor confidence. Despite the theories, no trailer was ever released subsequently after one of these investor calls. And then the theory was the Game Awards 2024. Some fans anticipated the Rockstar might unveil the second trailer during the Game Awards of 2024, an event known for major game announcements. And given that GTA 6 won the most anticipated game award at this event, it kind of seemed plausible. However, as we all know, no trailer there too. And now, gentlemen, the most recent crazy speculation for GTA is that a new trailer will debut today. That's right, December 27th, leak. Recent leaks suggest that the second GTA 6 trailer might be released today because this gained traction after an anonymous source on X, of course, Twitter, it's always going to come from Twitter, claimed that Take-Two Interactive updated some details, and they put a screenshot on there showing a release date with a trailer that was dated December 27th at 9 a.m. It said, please watch the second trailer, December 27th at 9 a.m. Eastern. So, a lot of crazy. Not a lot of trailers, but it's been interesting and amusing to watch.
That phase of the moon thing was like, people are out there reaching. They're desperate for that trailer.
They are desperate.
They're like, we're going to go into the stars to get this thing. And man, that would be very interesting if the trailer dropped today. Let's be honest. I mean, there's always I think we deserve it as gamers. We've been hankering. So let's let that conspiracy theory become true, please. Thanks.
Yes, please.
I have an honorable mention conspiracy theory, and that is the one that I made Lord think that Half-Life 3 was going to debut at the Game Awards.
That's really
that
good,
was just my favorite one.
That got me. And man, there was a lot of crazy stuff being floated, and I'm as desperate as people wanting a GTA 6 trailer for Half-Life 3 to be real. Like, it has to happen. So I figure, oh man, let's get Half-Life 3, please.
All right. Well, moving on. And speaking of GTA, I kind of tipped my hand on this one. The next topic I want to talk about, and let's go through this real quickly. But the next thing I want to talk about are the 2 to 3 most shocking and memorable moments that we each remember from 2024. I'm going to kick it off real quickly because I already tipped my hand with the GTA 6. I think it is insanely shocking that its whole year has passed since the first trailer and we haven't received anything. That's insane. That's crazy. The last trailer was amazing, but no follow-up within a whole year. Yeesh, they sure know how to play the long game. Also, I think 2024 started off amazing. That surprise with Palworld, which was on nobody's radar and hitting Game Pass, becoming super like a super hit. And yes, it was janky AF, as Malding noted earlier in the show, but that didn't stop us from having a good time until we got sick of it and didn't play it anymore. As well as it was a 1-2 punch with Helldivers coming right afterwards. I jumped into that game, and man, oh man, what a fun multiplayer experience. That also wasn't really, well, it wasn't on my radar. I know some of our listeners had written in that they liked it, but man, what a surprise. Those two juggernauts, bam, out of the gate, 1-2. Like, I thought, wow, 2024 is going to be insane with games if this is how it's starting. And let's just say not all of them lived up to the hype, but I definitely love that because, of course, later on, then that's when we got Concord and we got Suicide Squad, which I'm like, ooh. And I got to be honest with you, as much as I love the combat and Dragon Age, at the end, I just was not like, ooh, this is just okay. So like 2024 in with a bang, out with a little bit of a whimper here, especially if you're taking in Malding's consideration for Indiana Jones. And I think though that is the most shocking and surprising stuff for me of the year. What about you guys? Malding, what about yours?
My first one has got to be the fact that the Fallout TV show was really good. That blew me away. So
Good
right
point.
there, when you put this category in, I was like, there is no way. I never thought that the Fallout show was going to be great, and it turned out to be one of my favorite shows of the year. It was just such a surprise and really shocking to me, and I think to a lot of people. And
Mm-hmm.
then my next one is, a lot of people don't agree with my opinions on things, and probably this is another one, but Astrobot winning Game of the Year at the Game Awards, I was completely shocked by that. I did not see that one coming. And I mean, it was up against Metaphor, which was just such a well-written game, really deep. And this is just a platform. Now, I know people love platformers and they deserve their time in the sun, but as the
Represent
number one game of
truth.
2024, that was just really shocking to me. And then finally, I don't want to step on anyone's toes here because I think this might be one of someone else's too, maybe not, but Concord's failure and Marvel Rivals' success was hugely surprising to me this year too. I really didn't think Marvel Rivals was going to be that successful as it is, and whoever saw that Concord, I mean, we only found out about it, I think, in like February or March of this year, and then it came out and then completely crashed and was pulled from sale shelves 2 weeks after it came out. Just a completely shocking thing to happen in any year, let alone in 2024.
Yeah, Concord that is just something that you don't see ever. So that was just that was wow, what a mess. My two picks for this year, I said the completely unnecessary PS5 Pro drop. Not to
Very
be
true.
shady, but not memorable in a good way. I just cannot believe they went with the PS5 Pro route, and I don't know. The PS5 in general just needs some love. So when I saw this, my jaw dropped in a not a good fashion because I just thought we do not need a pro system right now when we still need to do a lot more work with the base model. And I was a little blown away that Sony was so adamant that it was such a humongous leap in power when even now they're doing lots of different stress tests. It's not doing or like doing stuff even worse than what the PS5 is doing. So that, yeah, so wild. And then honestly, I was looking back through our rundown notes, and then I came across this piece, which I will say is completely crazy. The Apex Legends pros that were hacked mid tournament, and then all those hacks were enabled in game, and then they just shut down. They just had to like call off the tournament for a bit. I think it resumed at some point, but that was totally mind blowing. I have never seen anything like that. I don't think nothing has happened like that before. And it was just something that I just could not believe it. I was like, this is a moment that is just so crazy. And I'm surprised you don't see it more often, but that just like blew me away when that was going on. Just one of those moments that I was just like, wow, shook. So I know that was sort of random, but hey, that is definitely
That's a
one of
good
the
callback.
definitely good callback. So that was those are my takes for this year.
All right, nice. Moving on. Now we've got the last two topics to wrap up the show. We've got, of course, the most disappointing games and then our favorite games of the year. Before we get to our favorites, though, let's talk about what disappointed us most in 2024. What were we anticipating, licking our chops, waiting to get our hands on, only for it to be a huge, smelly turd in our lap? Let's talk about which games sucked worst. Malding, why don't you start? Because I totally agree with yours.
So I don't want to spend too much time on it because I do think that there is a lot of negativity in the gaming sphere, and a lot of people put a lot of hard work and love into these games. And
True.
so I
Good
don't
point.
want to shit on these things too much, but I have two choices. I'm just going to tell them right off. I was super excited for Dragon's Dogma 2. I really enjoyed Dragon's Dogma 1. It has dragon in the title. Right there, that gets me hyped for any game. And it really felt flat for me. It really was not what I had hoped it was going to be. And it was just slow, not really that fun, kind of monotonous, and just kind of a huge bummer. And then my second one is dragon themed also, and it is Dragon Age the Veilguard. This game went through a lot of iterations in my head. We had that terrible trailer, the terrible cinematic trailer in like the middle of the year, and then there's been a lot of controversy over its wokeness. None of that wokeness doesn't bother me at all. It's fine. It's absolutely fine.
Agreed.
It's just the game when you play it at the very beginning is the same game that you play at the very end. You're playing against the same enemies throughout the whole thing. I felt like there were only like 3 or 4 different types that you fought throughout the whole thing. The story was kind of meh. It really didn't
Agreed.
excite me, and I was really looking forward to that game, and it turned out to be not what I was expecting. So those are my 2 disappointments.
I understand and agreed. Lord?
Yeah, mine, I thought Concord was going to be what Marvel Rivals is. So that was a major disappointment. And just again, I mean, we keep going back to that because it just was completely insane what that game turned out to be. And then, to be honest, Helldivers 2. That's my second game.
Whoa.
Helldivers 2 taking a lot of shrapnel from Matt Lord today.
Yeah.
It was the highest highs to the lowest of lows with that one, because the game could have been so good, and the devs talked such a mean game, and they just really never followed through, and it turned out to be a major disappointment for me. I don't know if I'll be going back, maybe this zombie update perhaps, but to me it's almost too little too late. They let it just kind of stew for too long, and it's little, it's just, I'm probably going to swerve it. So that one, I hate to admit it, but yes, that was a big disappointment for me this year.
Wow. Understandable, but wow. All right. So I don't think either of mine should be too surprising for anybody. First off, I got to agree 1,000,000,000% with Malding. I was excited about Dragon's Dogma 2. I liked their companion system and where they were headed. But by the time the late game kicked in, the lack of a real fast travel, because there wasn't like much
painful.
one, was so painful. And the storytelling, it was so dry. There was nothing new to see. It was a waste of my time. And also what shocked me is just last week we were talking about the top selling games, and this is the top number 10 selling game of 2024 so far, Dragon's Dogma 2. And it was, I think there was some potential there. It was just a little bit undercooked, and I don't want to crap on it either, but boy, I'm not looking forward to Dragon's Dogma 3, that's for sure. And then it should be no surprise, but my other game I'd like to nominate for like most disappointing is got to be Suicide Squad. Who, doggy? If someone had just explained to me that this wasn't going to be a fun like team-based combat thing, it's really just going to be that you go stand on a building and shoot dudes in the legs, that would have changed things. But I didn't really understand that the combat was so unfun, so uninspired. This one, they could take a little shit because this was a crappy ass game, to be honest with you. I spent my time and my money on this one. And it didn't deliver on any of the promises. There was no reason to actually be in the ground or drive or do anything. You can't do any of that crap. All you did was stand on rooftops and shoot people in legs, and that is a turkey and a turd.
It is
Now,
so
didn't it
funny
have
that
good cutscenes though? Weren't the
Yes.
cutscenes well
Yes.
done? So it did have
Yes.
something.
Yes, exactly.
Those were good.
No, the animations and the cutscenes and that sort of stuff. They were. I wish Dragon Age 2, the Dragon Age, had the cutscenes that this one had and the story that this one had. So
Uh,
yes, I mean it wasn't, but it's just, oh man, the gameplay sucks so bad.
I think
I
you
just-
can buy it for $4 right now if you want.
Don't.
You want to
Save your
buy it.
$4.
I need to know who cooked up the shoot the enemies in the legs mechanic, because that to me is just like, it's
Oof,
hilarious.
ouch.
That's all you did. That's all. I watched like 3 hours of your live stream, Dan. I was like, you don't
Yeah.
do anything besides shoot him in the legs.
No, talk
Okay.
about this. Like
Yeah.
when Molding said, that game was the very first thing you do at the very end. Like there's no change whatsoever. That is exactly that game. And you get these power ups
Crazy.
and all that sort of stuff, and you don't feel any different. It's just crap.
Oof.
Yeah, what
big
huge
big
news.
yikes.
Well, those were
But-
some disappointments.
Those definitely were some disappointments, unfortunately, and deservedly so. But there were also some fun games that we came out this year. And rather than just pick one favorite game, because as Molding pointed out with Astrobot, even though it might be a game of the year for some of us, i.e. me, it doesn't, one game doesn't fit all for all the different player types and that sort of stuff. So I want to talk a range of games. Like, what are your favorite games? What are the standouts of 2024? Molding.
So this game I could have put on my most surprising list too. I was shocked that I love this game so much, and that is Black Ops 6. It is not my typical sort of game. I do love a shooter. I did play some of the other Call of Duties. I haven't played a Call of Duty installment in probably 3 years, maybe 2 or 3 years. This one, because it was on Game Pass, I jumped into it right away, and man, I just fell absolutely in love with it. I am still in love with it. I have friends of the show that are a little bit more in love with it than I am, that are really taking it to heart. We all really, really like it and have a lot of fun. And that's what I'm looking for, is a game that's just really incredibly fun and really keeps me going. I don't feel like my time is wasted, even though it is. I'm just really enjoying Black Ops 6. So if you get a chance to play, if you like those type of games, I highly recommend it. Do you want to do my other one too?
Yeah.
And then my second one, and this one I think I would also put on a surprising list. I did a review for it. You can check it out if you check out our YouTube channel. But Dragon Quest III HD 2D Remake was just a really, really fun experience. I really loved it. It was gorgeous. I hadn't played the original one, so it came with a lot of surprises. But this is how you do a remake. I loved it. I cannot wait for 1 and 2 to come out this next year. I would put those on my most anticipated list. Check it out if you get a chance. It's just gorgeous. What a great RPG.
Yeah, I do want to play that one, Malding, no
Nice.
doubt. And it just makes me so happy that you're into Call of Duty now, Malding. Like,
I know, me
that's
too. It
awesome.
makes me happy too.
That's so. Dan, you want me to kick off mine real fast?
Go for it, brother.
I know I've been talking it big, but one of my favorite games this year has to be Stalker 2. It's just scratching that first person looting itch that I've been aching for. So I'm just going to be playing that one through the new year, no question. And then the other game that I thought was just a total surprise, that I thought was just going to be a silly old like Soulsborne type of game, is Stellar Blade. The game was awesome, and that was a great PS5 game that dropped, and I feel like it hasn't been talked about that much, but that game was really good. And if you have a PS5 hanging out, I definitely suggest you picking that one up if you like a good Soulsborne and a lot of really fun, like intricate combat. So definitely like that one.
Good
Well, those are my two.
choices.
Yeah.
As for mine, of course, Astrobot's got to be on there because I did enjoy it. And in fact, I even just yesterday played the Christmas level, and I took a picture and I tweeted it out on our account. And if you have Astrobot, definitely check out the holiday update that they did for it. Also, because I am a survival horror masochist, I absolutely adored Outlast Trials. I think this is a criminally overlooked game, albeit, yes, it will only appeal to the sicker, darker gamers out there. But this is team-based, survival in a haunted house. And I couldn't, it scratches that itch. I thought it was really original. It was very different. Definitely not to be missed. Of course, 7 Days to Die, I've got to call this one out because it completely revamped what was just a really, really ugly game, but they added some really fun stuff to it. There are some misses there with the way that you upgrade with magazines being tedious and all that sort of stuff. But the concept I thought was brilliant. The zombies were fun. I spent tons of hours into this game, and so I definitely recommended that one. It was one of my best of the year. And then also Dave the Diver. I gotta say, yes, I know this is a little bit of an overhyped game, but what Dave the Diver did, the other games don't do. What made it really special, it wasn't so much the gameplay. It was that these developers put in a mechanic that you kind of master and you learn. And then, a little bit later, you get another mechanic and the story's going along. And then another, I was unlocking new elements and farming and things like this and management sims. Like, it's a billion games in one, and you're like, the game's finished and I'm still unlocking this stuff, not to mention all of the stuff that they've added to the game with Godzilla and the DLC. Dave the Diver, I know it got a lot of credit and a lot of hype, but it actually delivered and deserved it. And so if you haven't tried that one, I would definitely check on that one as well.
Nice. Yeah, gotta try that one still.
All right. Yeah, good stuff this year. So quite a year 2024. Definitely stay tuned, though, because our next episode will be covering everything 2025. But that pretty much wraps up everything we've got for this week. If you're watching on YouTube, please like and subscribe. And if you're listening on a podcast, please tell a friend. And on behalf of Matt Moulding, Matt Lord, and myself, Dan Whitehill, thanks for joining us. And as always, good playing with you.
Good playing with you.
Good playing with you. See you next year.